Okay, so number 1 for part A, it asks you to write it in standard form, and I already did that. So basically what that means is starting with the highest degree term, starting with that one, and then go all the way down to the constant. Okay, for part B, it's asking you to verify whether x minus 1 is a factor of the polynomial. So I use synthetic division for that. So you bring down the 1. 1 times 1 is 1. Combine the negative 2 and 1, you get negative 1. Multiply 1 times negative 1, you get negative 1. Combine negative 15, negative 1 is negative 16. Multiply that with 1, you get negative 16. Combine the 32 with the negative 16, you get 16. And then multiply, you get 16. And the remainder is 0. Okay, so that means that yes, it is a factor. It is a factor. For C, it says find the remaining factors. Well, the quotient, which is this one right here, is x to the third minus x squared minus 16x plus 16. And so I'm going to go ahead and set it up in a 2 by 2. It's factored by grouping. It's just I arrange it in a little 2 by 2 grid. So negative 16x. So in the first row, factor out x squared, the greatest common factor. And then you ask yourself what times x squared gives you x cubed, and so that would be x. Then what times x squared gives you negative x squared, that would be negative 1. And then what times x gives you negative 16x, so that would be negative 16. So the other factors are x minus 1 and x squared minus 16. But x squared minus 16 is difference of squares. So it'd be x minus 1, x plus 4, and x minus 4. Okay, and for part D, it's asking you to write p of x in factored form. So you write p of x equals, the first factor was x minus 1, and then there's another x minus 1 right here. So that's x minus 1 squared, because there's 2 of them. Then x plus 4 times x minus 4. For letter E, they want you to find the zeros. So the zeros would be 1, negative 4, and 4. For F, they want you to give the multiplicity of the zeros. So I'll just put it underneath the zeros. So this one is even, and the multiplicity of these two is odd. Okay, so that we know that this one's going to be tangent, and then these are going to cross when we graph them. End behavior, so I'll just move it up a little bit. Let's see, it's x to the 4th. So the leading term is x to the 4th. So the end behavior is going to be up, up, which means as x goes to negative infinity, f of x goes to infinity, and as x goes to positive infinity, f of x also goes to infinity. Okay, and then for g we have to graph the function. So, sorry, for h. So you have the three different zeros, right? So it's going to be 4, negative 4, and 1. And you know that it starts from the top, and it's gonna be tangent to positive 1. So it goes something like this, bounces off here, and then goes through like this. Okay? And then determine the number of turning points. So I'll put it right here. Turning points, you have 1, 2, 3. So you have 3 turning points. And it says describe it. So let me move it up a little bit. This one's a global min, but it could also be a local min. It's also considered local min. This one's a local min, and this one is a local max. Okay? So for number 2, same thing as number 1. You have to write it in standard form first, and I did that already, starting with the x cubed and then going all the way down to 108. Letter B, you have to verify that x minus 3 is a factor of the polynomial of p of x. So you do that by synthetic division, and if you get a zero remainder, then it is a factor. So bring down the 1 times this 3 times this 1 is 3. So you combine this second column and you get 0. 0 times 3 is 0. Negative 36, and then times negative 3 is negative 108, and then you get 0. So because you get remainder 0, then yes, x minus 3 is a factor of the polynomial of p of x. And it says find the remaining factors for C. Well, this one right here is x squared minus 36, and this is x plus 6 times x minus 6. Okay? And then for D, they want you to write p of x in factored form. So it would be x minus 3 times x plus 6 times x minus 6. For E, you have to find the zeros, and they would be 3 and plus or minus 6. Their multiplicity for each one is odd, so that means that the graph crosses at the x-axis at those points. Then end behavior, the leading term is x cubed, so then that means that it has a down-up end behavior. So we say as x goes to the left, f of x goes down, so it goes negative infinity. And as x goes to the right, as x gets bigger, f of x goes up. It's positive infinity. Then you have to sketch it. So here you have, 3 and 6, negative 6. And so you know that it starts off from the bottom, right, because of the end behavior, and it crosses through each 0. That's none of them are tangent, so it just oops, sorry, missed it. Crosses, crosses, and crosses. This one has turning points. Let's see. It's got one here and one here. So it has 2 turning points. So it has turning points, 2 of them. And this is a local min. And this one up here is a local max. For number 3 and 4, you have to evaluate the function at x equals negative 4. And we do that with synthetic substitution. So this is what we're looking for, p of negative 4. So you put a negative 4 inside the little backwards L. And then make sure you put the coefficients in order in standard form. So it would be 8, 7, 2, and 4. And then bring down the 8. 8 times negative 4, negative 32. And then you combine those rows and you get negative 25. Negative 25 times negative 4 is 100. So you combine, you get 102. 102 times negative 4 is negative 408. Plus 4 is negative 404. And remember the last number, which you get in the synthetic division, that's your answer. So p of negative 4 is negative 404. Okay, number 4, same thing. They want p of negative 4, so we're going to set it up like this. And this time the leading coefficients are 2, 5, negative 3. And you have to put a 0 for the placeholder of the constant. Okay, so bring down the 2. 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. Add 8, negative 8 and 5, you get negative 3. And then negative 3 times negative 4 is 12. 12 minus 3 is 9. 9 times negative 4 is negative 36. So when you add it to 0, it's negative 36. And that is p of negative 4. Okay, for number 5 through 8, they want you to divide, and you could either use long division or synthetic substitution, or I'm sorry, synthetic division to find the quotient and remainder. Write the result with the dividend equals divisor, just like it says in the instructions, and I'll show you on with each problem. So for number 5, you cannot use synthetic division for that. So we have to do x squared plus 3x plus 5, and then x to the 4th. There is no x cubed, so we put 0x cubed. And then there's no x squared, so we put 0x squared. And then plus 6x minus 25. Okay? And so you ask yourself, what do you have to multiply the x squared by in order to get x to the 4th? And that would be x squared. And so you get x to the 4th when you multiply, plus 3x cubed plus 5x squared. So now we're subtracting, okay? So when you subtract, you add the opposite. So that's negative, this becomes negative, and this becomes negative. Okay, so you add your 2 rows and you get, that's 0, negative 3x cubed minus 5x squared. Bring down the 6x. And then same question, you ask yourself, what do you have to multiply this by in order to get this one? That would be negative 3x. We multiply, and then you get negative 9x squared minus 15x. Okay, we're going to subtract, so we're adding the opposite, so all of these minuses become pluses. And we combine like terms, so this gives me 0. 9 minus 5 is 4. 15 and 6 is 21. And you bring down the negative 25. And then what do you have to multiply the x squared by in order to get 4x squared? The answer is 4. And so you get 4x squared plus 12x plus 20. And so now we're ready to subtract. So when you subtract, you add the opposite. So this becomes negative, this becomes negative, and this becomes negative. We're going to combine the 2 rows. This is 0. 21 minus 12x, that's going to give you 9x. Negative 25 and negative 20 is negative 45. So this is the remainder right here. So the way they want you to write the answer is dividend, so that's x to the 4th plus 6x minus 25 equals the divisor. This is what we're dividing by, times the quotient, x squared minus 3x plus 4, plus the remainder, 9x minus 45. So this would be the final answer right here.